as your Houston Texans went head to head with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the first place of the AFC South. And I'm gonna pop the music down. Yep, and pop and apply the music down and just go like uh, the heroics today. 34 seconds left. Amendola, a 58-yard field goal, hit the front of the crossbar and bounced back. That would have tied the game. It probably would have looked in overtime. It's ironic because I sort of looked at some of my colleagues and said, overtime today, guys? Nah, not happening. But you know what? It was just that close. Just that close, folks, from from tying the game and probably going in overtime. But at 34 seconds still left, the fairy dust or the magic, whatever else has been with the Houston Texans as far as that last part being able to have that magic didn't go today. And be quite candid with you, what Coach D'Amico Ryan said today, they didn't do the things that needed to do to win today, not against a good team. Particularly, and I think I tweeted it out earlier today, that the Texans were, first they had an anemic first quarter, a couple of 3-and-outs and just a discombobulation. And they weren't there. They weren't being themselves today. And so, but then you know what? That's it. That's week to week. That's when some folks say National Football League, or we can say not for long as well. But under the circumstances being what it is, but I tell you what, before I get too far deep in there and get Elwin's Henderson or the Gilmore Mirror, we're gonna get him on. We're gonna get a word from our sponsor, then we'll get into
it. Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just how important insurance can be.
Not sure having a little. Here we go. Let's try it. Let's try this. There we go.
Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just
You see, for some reason didn't show, but guess what? I'll get it back. But before we get too far down deep in the hole here, there we go. Add him to the stage. Get Elwin up here. Having a little technical difficulties today, but that's okay. Hey, we'll get through these. Elwin, can you hear me? Not hearing you. Let's see. Let me try. There we go.
I'm not muted.
Hey, there we go. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Got the wrong banners up, but
okay.
I'm gonna clear that. Hey, go ahead and make quickly. Texans go down today. Had technical difficulties trying to get started, but that's okay. We'll get started. Got the wrong information up. That's Folks Talking Sports, which will be coming on at 7:00, and I'm gonna change that. But in the meantime, Elwin, the Texans go down to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They first place in the AFC South was on the line, and within what? Within a half an inch of a 58-yard attempted field goal
Yep.
by Amendola, it would have probably could have went to overtime, but the fortunes did not smile on the Texans today. And be quite candid with you, what Coach D'Amico Ryan said today, they didn't do enough they didn't do enough really to win today. So and that's the circumstances of what they found themselves in today.
Yeah, it really was. And as we talked during the game, AD, they were just out of sync. I mean, from the get-go, they looked out of sync. It just didn't look like things were going as smoothly as they had been going. And, I don't know what the issue was with it, but, I thought they were going to get it back together. And then all of a sudden, one thing after another happened. The 2 pass interferences on Javier Thomas certainly didn't help. But then they still had their chances, but it just didn't come together. Very disappointing because now you got 6 games left in the year, but you're 2 games out of first place. And pretty soon it's going to be getting to that scenario of you're going to be playing for a playoff wild card spot, and the division's going to be out of reach. This was huge today if they could have just pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, and I alluded to it earlier in the introduction. I know it was had some technical difficulties going, but that first quarter was like just anemic. They had three and outs. They didn't do anything in the first quarter. It's 4 quarters. And let's face it, when C.J. Stroud is your leading rusher for the day, that's not good, especially when Devin Singletary and even Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce was back today, but C.J. Stroud was the leading rusher today. And although, Titus Howard went out today, and we're not sure how long he's going to be out, and that's not making excuses because Juice Scruggs came back. He's came back, and this is his first action really since they began the camp, since they started camp. This is his first true action since he's been back. So, and I thought, overall, I thought he probably accorded himself as well as be expected his first action back. And so, obviously, I think the coach, I'm not going to be in there when they grade them out, but I think, obviously there's some things, there's a lot of rust got to be knocked off on him. But, it's ironic that during this past week, and I was, he and I was chatting in the locker room after practice, and he said, hey, next man up. And lo and behold, he's back in action today. So, that's where we are. Anything that's jumped out at you today about the Texans that we've been watching, even though the losses, this was a different game for them today. And I'm not saying they can't face
it was.
Go ahead. Yeah,
well, I think the biggest thing, AD, that jumped out to me, whatever the reason, the offensive line just didn't protect CJ today like they have been. At critical times, he was getting sacked.
Yeah, and hey, let's face it. Well, D'Amico alluded to that in his presser. He said either side of the line today, the Texans didn't do enough to win. CJ had 4 sacks. He was sacked 4 times a day. I think he had about 7 or 8 quarterback hits that were recorded on him today. Conversely, the Texans defensive line had no sacks today, and they had been a terror for the last several weeks. And wait a minute. I think they were only recorded with 5 quarterback hits today. Think about that. 4 quarters of football, and you only had 5 quarterback hits today. And I think they might have been kind to him on a couple of those quarterback hits, because let's face it. And had a chance, and Sheldon Rankins, I just had a quick conversation with him. Nothing on the record, but I'm gonna let Nico and Henry Toa talk, as well as D'Amico, in a few seconds. But the one thing I noticed that, and he went out with an injury today too, and it's something that he's going to be checked out
Yep.
on because and he was getting double teamed a lot today. And again, when
Yep.
everybody's doing their scouting right now, there's no surprises right now. So this is the NFL. Folks are making adjustments on the fly, and so folks got to get ready to go and meet the man today. And let's face it, we'll see what I tell you what. We've been applauding this team for this tenacity. 46 second come from behind, a minute and 33, and then today with 34 seconds left on the clock, just a matter of inches of a ball game being tied, conceivably tied and going into overtime. So we'll see how well this team is the maturation process of this team being able to bounce back,
Yep.
because the Denver Broncos coming in here next week. And I'm going to tell you something, and that game has been flexed back from a 3 o'clock game to a 12 o'clock game for more national exposure. So everybody else wants to see what we are seeing, what we're witnessing right
Yep.
now in hindsight. So but anyway, let's see what Coach Ryan, because I asked him about what Jacksonville was doing to them today that sort of caused the issue. Not getting anything. Oh, there you go. Well, that's your hand.
To get open today.
Yeah.
Was it something unique that Jacksonville done in the second half that just guys couldn't get open on?
I thought CJ did a really good job of being able to move around and extend plays. Made a couple big plays for us. One there versus Tank. They got called back. Unfortunate there. I thought he moved around well when he had to. Took what the defense gave him.
Yeah, and this is what I was asking D'Amico today about this. It was the fact. Well, and I think you were in there. What was Jacksonville was doing to them today that really created a lot of havoc with them today. And let's face it, this is the NFL. Those guys getting paid, those coaches are getting paid, and it's enough on tape right now. And so. And one of the issues that, if it had not been for the improvisation of C.J. Stroud today, it's actually moving around in the pocket. His feet allowed his receivers a little bit more time to get away. Tank Dell had some flashes. Nico Collins had some flashes. None of what we had seen from these guys in the last few weeks. None of that actually showed up fruition today for the whole complete game.
No.
So let's tip I had to Jacksonville. The Texans third game of the week. They went to Jacksonville and really took it to them and came out victorious. Jacksonville paid homage back to the Texans today. They came in their house and came out with a 24-21 victory today. So. But the thing about it, this loss, and like you alluded to it earlier, this loss sort of puts you a little bit further behind first place.
Yep.
You're still in contention. The Texans are still in contention, but the thing now that they got the guard against, got to be able to come back against Denver, and then let's face it, they can only play one game at a time. This one's over with. They'll look at the tapes tomorrow, and then let's see what they're gonna have to be able to do. And let's see how injury situation, because it's been, like say, Henry To'oTo'o came back today. We're going to talk to him, and and that was one of the first things, because he had been out for 4 weeks on the concussion protocol. So he came back today. So we got players back today, and we lost some players today. So who knows? So that's where we are. Tell you what, then let's see if I can get Henry up. And let's see where we go. Let's see if I can get him on stage and get him on here.
That's what I'm happy to be here to do.
No pressure today. I mean, Trevor.
Try it again. There we go.
just happy to be out.
All right, Elwin. I'm having a little about technical difficulties. It's what sort of like the Texans today.
I think to say, I think we're taking like the Texans. I had trouble logging in, as you know,
Well,
to the
how
show.
do you feel?
I feel good. I feel good, and I'm just happy to be out there with the guys. I think that's the biggest thing. I love spending time with the guys and going to battle with them, and that's what I'm happy to be here to do.
No pressure today. I mean, Trevor, it was hard to get Trevor today,
Yeah.
man. You know, it seemed like in that, and the fact y'all
Yeah.
concentrate, y'all pretty much kept ATN in check, but then y'all couldn't get to Trevor today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just all 11 guys be on the same page. I think that's what it comes down to. If we're all on the same page, we're all playing complementary football, doing your job. I think we would have, had a better result as of the defense. But it's nobody. It's everybody. Front end, back end, we're all tied together.
Yep, that was Henry Toto, first game back after about 4 games, Elwin. He was back. It was good to see him back there today. I know during the week, because he finally was able, with concussion protocol, it's no longer, a few little smelling salts and you get back on the field.
Yeah, that's right.
He and I sort of joked about it. I was like, hey, and when I walked up to him, I say, have you met your baseline yet? And he said, yeah, finally, because the NFL with everything else, a lot of folks thinking that, with the concussions and everything that these guys are having and with everything else, just particularly on concussion, it's hard for these guys to get back on the field. They're not giving these helmets back like they used to. And so that was one thing. It was good to see him back. And like we joked about it. Was he able to meet his baseline? So apparently he met his baseline today. It was just good to see some of those guys who had been out for a while get them back on the field. But
Absolutely.
But let's face it. Some further comments from you. I mean, I think you were in there when CJ had his press. Anything that stood out to you about when he met with y'all today? Elwin, did anything that CJ said to y'all that stood out to you?
Well, he said the same thing you mentioned earlier. He said, hats off to Jacksonville. Those guys get paid too. And he said they didn't really do the same thing that D'Amico said. He said they didn't really do anything different. He said, we just didn't get the job done. And he said, we've got to get to the point that we can play complementary football. And he said, we didn't do that tonight. He said, we struggled offensively. We never gave up. And we kept fighting. And he said, right there at the end, of course, we almost had a chance to go overtime. But he said, basically, you can't lay that on Amendola. And I agree with him. He said it should have never come to that. He was disappointed, obviously. But the thing I noticed about CJ, like I've seen from him from day one, he was not down. He said, we'll grow from this. We'll get better from this. We just got to come back and work hard this week, come up against Denver next Sunday and get the dub then, and then we'll get things back on track.
Yeah, I mean, and like I say, when your quarterback is your leading rusher, you got problems.
Yeah, you do. Major problems.
We got major problems. And like I say, Damian Pierce is back today. Devin Singletary, for the last couple of weeks, he had hit the century mark for the last couple of weeks on the ground.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those situations, man. Things just didn't go right.
No.
They didn't go right today for the Texans. And the one thing I can appreciate about D'Amico, his demeanor, and like he just told basically, and we asked. I know Nico Collins was asked, how did the guys react to what he told them in the locker room, and he said, hey, just man up. It's next week. We got to go to next week. He said, "It's no need. We're not sitting. We're not supposed to sit here and hang our heads and go." He said, "We didn't do the things that we needed to get done today to earn a W." He said, hats off to them. And I'll be playing. I'll get Nico in a few seconds on the deal, the interviews I've done with him, particularly about what Jacksonville's secondary was able to do to them today, because I felt like that they really disrupted the I think the Texans pass patterns today. It was not necessarily
they did.
It was not one receiver today that I think they just did a very unique, and I thought they did a subtle job of way they was disrupting the Texans pass routes today. Of course, they got the pressure up front, and CJ had to do a lot of just improvisation and moving around today. And and one of the things that I remember Nico Collins mentioned, he said, "Look, this is something in practice that we work on every day. When he starts moving around, what we have to do to get ourselves clear in order to give him a pocket. I mean, give him a target to throw to. But for some reason today, wherever when he moved around, to me, like I said, that they put a good net around the Texans receiver today. That's as probably as gut level honest as I can see him after reviewing it, after looking at this contest today. They did all they could, and I think they say hats off to Jacksonville, and I think Nico Collins is going to mention we'll play him in a few minutes. But anyway, let's try to go back, grab one more grabber from Mr. Ross, and then we'll come back with you. I know you back on the road, and let's do a commercial, get you on the road, and let you get off the camera and get on down the road. Because I know you got a big week coming up. So let's see if we get Mr. Ross to play right this time.
Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience. Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that
Well, I think this is going to be one of those Texans broadcasts today.
Hello, I'm Ken Ross with the Ken Ross Insurance Agency. There are certain things that are important in our lives: our health, our safety, and our loved ones. With over 40 years of experience, I've seen just how important insurance can be. I value the importance of being a part of my community and being there when they need me. Insurance is important everywhere, but being here in South Texas, it is absolutely essential. From flood, home, auto, and life insurance, let the Ken Ross Agency be your agency of choice.
All right. Can we go back and try the field goal again now?
5952. Yeah, this. Wait a minute. This was sort of went inside. What got a. This was like 58 and a half inches. It bounced and then finally bounced over the crossbar. That one got through today. Hey man, I tell you what, technology is great, but sometimes it'll just make you want to pull your hair out.
Yep, it can. Hey, while I'm thinking about it too, I want to say thank you to the Houston Texans fans. They did show up. They got in that stadium today. It's the fullest I think we've seen it in probably, 4 or 5 years? And I'm guessing it looked to me like 75 to 80% of the seats were filled today. So thank you. I know I chewed the people out last week, and maybe somebody listened after all.
Yeah, they got in, but you know what? And here's the thing about it. Hopefully they'll get in on time next week. Because the Denver Broncos are coming to town. And now let's face it, this is not going to be a pushover Denver Bronco team. This
No,
is not to say
they've
Denver
come
Broncos
around.
team. Yeah, they are, and this is not going to be an easy out for the Texans, because we're
No.
talking about the National Football League. You're not talking, so I mean, obviously there's some teams that are having some hard times in the NFL. This is not one of them. I think they've turned the corner up in the
Yep.
Mile High City, and so I think Russell Wilson is probably on the same page now with
Yep.
with his coach and everything. So this is not going to be an easy contest for the Texans to come in, and so I think they're going to have to tighten up the chin straps. They're going to tighten everything up, and all the bumps and bruises, guys. We expect to see some guys not going to be able to play next week. We'll know better during the latter part of the week. But as far as the Texans are concerned, hey, you got to come with it. This was over with. Hopefully somebody might. You know what? I put it like this: don't be looking for somebody else to take care of your business when you had the opportunity to do it yourself.
That's right.
They split the season between Jacksonville and the Texans. Everybody took a home. Everybody went on the road and took a victory on the opposing team's home field. So I think they split. I mean, and that's about the best you can expect out of them. They split. That's what it is. And you should hang your head about it. But before let me see if I can get Nico Collins in. Then Elvin, I'll get your closing comments, and then we'll get on down the road and let you get on down the road.
All right. Well, two things. You mentioned the fact about the job that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense did against the Texans receivers. I know you looked at the same thing I did. There were many, many times when CJ rolled out, he couldn't find a single solitary soul open. Not even the dink and dunk stuff.
Yeah.
He could not find anybody open. They did a tremendous job.
The second half sort of disrupt.
Sorry about that, Elvin.
That's all right. They did a tremendous job of blanketing the receivers. And one other thing I'll say that I did notice, CJ, 3 different times he got up a little bit slow, walking a little bit gimpy. Once I saw him grab his left hip, and then once it looked like he put his hand down on his leg. I don't think it was anything serious. Nobody asked him about it, but when that's your money, man, you get a little worried when you see that happening. The line's got to improve. They got to do better. The receivers have got to do a better job of finding a way, continuing to circle around and break a route and try to get in the open, because C.J. Stroud's got the talent. He can find them if they open up.
Yeah,
the only other thought I would have, since you mentioned Denver next week, early on, Russell Wilson was not on the same page with Sean Payton. They started out and looked terrible, but coming into today, they're back to 5-5 right now. They're a 500 football team, and as much as we don't want to really think about it, the Texans are one game over 500 now at 6-5. So you're right. It's not going to be a piece of cake. It's probably going to be another fight to the finish. Last team with the ball maybe wins the game. I figure it'll be another one-score edition of an NFL football game.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. As much as we would like to see scoring, and I know the NFL is bent over backwards with all the rule changes and everything to try to get scoring up. But let's face it, the guys on the defensive side get paid handsome salaries to keep those guys.
They sure do.
And you know what? Every time you look up, they're thinking about tweaking the rules to give the quarterbacks more latitude and everything else. So, we'll have to see, man. We're really gonna have to see exactly what's going on. But in the meantime, Elvin, I tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and let you cut you loose, man. Let you go ahead and get on down the road. Be careful out there, man. And
will do, brother.
We'll catch you next Sunday, man. Okay?
You bet you. See you then. Have a great week, my friend.
Take care.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. And Let's see if I can get Nico to go ahead and play.
Jacksonville did today, particularly the second half, to sort of disrupt your pass routes today, because it seemed like they were able to just couldn't be consistent with what y'all wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, the boys came to play. Jacksonville's not a team where you can look over and just run over. You got to come to play every single down, every single quarter. Them boys, they was well prepared. They came out with the win, but I feel like we got room to grow. We kind of killed ourselves out there today, but, it is what it is. The scoreboard said what it said, so on to next week.
Yep, that's it. On to next week, folks. Nothing. This is over with. This one's done. And now we're back. And as we get ready to wrap it up here, even with all the technical difficulties, appreciate everyone for hanging in there with us today. This has been one of them. This is one of those Sundays with all the technology being what it is. It took its toll today. But from high atop the NRG Stadium, this is your man, Adolphus A.D. Moore, getting ready to sign off as the Jacksonville Jaguars came in with first place in AFC South today, and they come out of here with the victory today. They returned the favor to the Houston Texans after the third weekend went to Jacksonville and won, and they came into the Texan NRG Stadium today, the Texans home, and they walk out with a victory today. I know everybody had their hopes up high and got the hopes hearts in their throat today when Amendola attempted a 58-yard field goal that hit the crossbar. Literally hit the crossbar and bounced back in the field. That was it, ball game. But the ball game was decided well before the end of the day, folks. I'm not gonna say the kicker calls, and this was not on the kicker. I mean, it's all part of the three phases of the game. They didn't get it done today. They didn't play well enough to win. No sacks, very few quarterback hits today. But the Jaguars actually came in and they turned the tables on the Houston Texans today. So without further ado, as Elvin's down the road, and keep traveling down the road, we'll give him Godspeed, safe travel. I'm getting ready to get out of here. Tip of the hat to y'all. Hey, have a fun, safe time. Look to see you next week. We're definitely without all the technical difficulties that we went through with today. As we say, and I hope everybody had a very nice Thanksgiving. Be careful out here. Tomorrow is Black Cyber Monday, or whatever the case, as they call it, Cyber Monday. Be careful on some of those websites. Be careful that you're not getting into the wrong websites. Looking out there. Watch out for everyone as the holiday season is upon us. Take care. Love yourself. Love everybody else, and be careful. And I'm out of here, folks. Peace, and we out of here. We gone, and we'll see you next Sunday from this same spot, or at least somewhere in this same spot, without all the difficulties. I'm gone. I'm out.